Most men use compliments the wrong way. They hand them out like candy, thinking the more they praise her looks, the more she'll feel drawn to them. But what they don't understand is this. Compliments, when used without intent, lose their power. And worse, they expose neediness. Women don't crave surface-level validation. They crave resonance. A compliment that hits her deeper than her appearance. One that makes her feel seen, not judged. Desired, not chased. Stoic attraction isn't about saying more. It's about saying precisely what triggers an emotional spark, and then letting the silence do the rest. When you deliver the right compliment in the right way, it bypasses her filters. It lands differently. It makes her pause, think, feel, not just about your words, but about you. You're not here to flatter. You're here to disarm, to create tension, to make her feel something she didn't expect. And that's what these 5 compliments are designed to do. They aren't for every woman. They're for the woman you want to remember you. The woman who'll replay the moment in her mind long after you've walked away.
Before we dive into the first compliment, understand this. It's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. A compliment delivered with uncertainty feels like validation seeking, but a compliment delivered with grounded presence feels like power. So here's the first one. You have a very calming energy. Most people don't. It doesn't reference her looks. It doesn't put her on a pedestal. It highlights something she might not even realize about herself. And that makes it land harder. It feels personal, unique. She won't hear that every day. And because of that, she'll remember you. Here's why it works. Most women are used to being seen for their appearance. Few are ever noticed for the emotional space they create. When you point out something that connects to her presence, you stand out instantly. But remember, don't say it just to get a reaction. Say it when you feel it. Let it come from awareness, not from need. She'll feel the difference, and that's where the spark begins.
The second compliment that triggers deep attraction is this. I love how you think. You see things most people miss. Again, you're not focused on surface-level praise. You're going deeper, into her mind. And this is powerful, because when you admire the way she processes the world, she feels seen in a way that most men never give her. But here's the key. This compliment only works when it's earned. You can't just say it randomly. You need to actually listen, deeply, and catch the moment when she shares an insight or a unique perspective. That's when you strike. That's when it feels real. When you validate her intelligence or intuition, especially in a world where most compliments are about looks, you bypass the ego and speak straight to her identity. She doesn't just feel appreciated, she feels understood. And that's rare. Compliments that acknowledge a woman's mind spark emotional attraction. They create curiosity. She starts to think about you, because now she's wondering what else you see that others don't. If you're ready to speak less and attract more, hit subscribe and tap the bell. The next move will change everything. The third compliment that triggers deep attraction is subtle, but it hits her on a primal level. You make being around you feel easy. This isn't about beauty. It's not about effort. It's about energy. And most men never compliment a woman's vibe, the way she makes them feel in her presence. Why does this work so well? Because it shifts the dynamic. You're not complimenting her for what she's doing, for you. You're recognizing what she naturally brings to the moment. This tells her you're emotionally aware. You're tuned in. And you're not trying to impress. You're simply observing and appreciating. That's what separates stoic compliments from shallow praise. You're not throwing out flattery hoping for a reaction. You're reflecting something honest, something felt. And when she hears this, her guard drops, her curiosity rises. Because now, you've complimented something she didn't even know you noticed. The comfort, the ease, the flow she brings. You've shown her that you're not just watching her, you're feeling her. That creates chemistry. And chemistry is the fuel of deep attraction. The fourth compliment is about her mind, but it's not the cliché. You're so smart. That's generic. It sounds like something you'd say to a colleague after a meeting. Instead, you say,
Your perspective is rare. I didn't expect to hear that. Why is this powerful? Because it shows you're listening, not just nodding along, waiting for your turn to speak, actually paying attention. And it frames her as someone who offers value not with looks or performance, but with thought, with insight, with clarity. Most men overlook this angle. They either try to dominate the conversation or they validate her in obvious, predictable ways. But the Stoic man is different. He sits back, he watches, he listens, and when he speaks with precision. By complimenting her perspective, you're telling her that she's not just attractive, she's interesting, that her words landed, that you're not here just to impress her, you're here to connect. And that hits different. You're making her feel seen in a way most men never even attempt. And in doing that, you become the man she keeps thinking about. The fifth and final compliment, the one that hits her at a level most men never reach, isn't about her looks, her mind, or even her energy. It's about her effect on you. And it sounds like this. There's something about your presence that makes me want to slow down. Now pause and think about that. You're not saying she's pretty. You're not giving her surface-level validation. You're letting her know, indirectly, that her energy affects you, that her calm, her presence, her femininity shifts your pace. This kind of compliment works on a subconscious level. It tells her that you're usually grounded, usually focused, usually on a mission. But when you're around her, there's a softness, a stillness, a presence that you notice. It's not needy. It's not emotional overexposure. It's controlled. It's masculine. It's stoic. You're not confessing your feelings. You're revealing your awareness. And this awareness is what separates a man who's attractive from a man who's unforgettable. Because when she realizes that her energy has an impact, not because you need her, but because you notice her, she starts to feel something deeper. She feels seen. She feels powerful. And now, she wants to be around you more.
Now let's step back and look at why. These 5 compliments work on such a deep level. It's not about the words. It's not even about the delivery. It's about who is saying them. You could take these exact same phrases and give them to a man who's emotionally reactive, validation-seeking, always trying to impress, and they'll fall flat. At best, he'll come off as trying too hard. At worst, desperate. But when a stoic man, grounded, composed, centered, delivers these lines with calm precision, they land differently. They're felt. They have weight. Why? Because he's not trying to get anything. He's not complimenting her to win her over. He's not flattering her to seek approval. He's simply reflecting what he notices. From a place of strength. From a place of abundance. From a place of inner calm. That's the secret to triggering deep attraction with compliments. It's not the line that matters. It's the frame you hold when you deliver it. When you don't need her to like you, she wants to be liked by you. When your energy is sovereign, your words become seductive. And when your compliments come from awareness, not from agenda, they create a space for her to open up. So here's what most men get completely wrong about compliments. They use them as a transaction. They give a compliment, expecting a reaction, a smile, a thank you, a number, a date, something. And women can feel that. They can feel the expectation hidden behind the words. And that expectation kills the attraction, because it shifts the energy from presence to performance. But when a stoic man gives a compliment, it's detached from outcome. He's not waiting for a reaction. He's not watching her facial expression. He's not even trying to win her over. He's observing. He's noticing. He's speaking from truth. And then, he moves on. That nonchalance, that effortless delivery, it creates curiosity. Because now she's thinking, why is he so calm? Why isn't he trying harder? Why does this feel different? She leans in. She wants to know more. She starts to feel a pull. Not because you're chasing, but because you aren't. And that's the paradox. When you stop using compliments as bait and start using them as subtle expressions of awareness, you become unforgettable. There's a psychological principle at play here that most men never understand. The contrast effect. When a woman hears a compliment she's heard 1,000 times, it doesn't register. It blends into the noise. It becomes part of the background. But when you offer a compliment that targets something she hasn't heard before, something about her essence, her energy, her way of being, it hits different. It cuts through the static. This contrast creates intrigue. It tells her, I see something others don't. And in that moment, you become the outlier. The man who notices. The man who understands. Stoic men live in this contrast. While others are busy commenting on her looks or outfit, you speak to her composure. While others focus on the surface, you speak to what's beneath it. That doesn't just attract her, it awakens her. Because for once, she's not being looked at, she's being seen. And when a woman feels seen, without being chased or pedestalized, she starts to wonder about you. Think about you. Crave more of that rare gaze. That's the true power of a compliment delivered with stoic clarity. But it's not just what you say. It's how you say it that turns a simple compliment into a psychological trigger. A stoic man doesn't throw compliments around casually. He's deliberate, intentional, grounded. When he compliments, he doesn't rush. He doesn't smile nervously. He doesn't look for a reaction. He delivers the compliment slowly, with a calm tone, direct eye contact, and no need for validation. He pauses afterward, not to fish for approval, but to own the moment. This pause is powerful because it creates space for tension, emotional weight, anticipation. Most men speak to relieve tension. The stoic man speaks to create it. And in that space, something primal happens. She begins to lean in, to feel the gravity of your presence, to wonder what else you see that others miss. The way you hold your compliment, with presence, with certainty, without need, becomes more seductive than the words themselves. Because she doesn't just hear the compliment, she feels the man behind it. And that feeling lingers. Now let's go deeper into why these compliments work, and why most men fail to use them properly. Most men give compliments to get something, approval, affection, a response. But this transactional energy kills attraction. Women can feel when your compliment isn't coming from a grounded place. It feels forced, needy, empty. But when you give a compliment from abundance, not lack, it lands differently. You're not trying to win her over. You're simply reflecting what you see. There's no neediness, no agenda, just calm certainty. And here's the paradox. When she feels that you don't need anything in return, she starts craving more of your attention. Because now your compliment isn't just validation, it's rare insight. It's a peek into the mind of a man who doesn't offer his attention lightly. That's the power of stoic attraction. You offer value without needing anything back. And in doing so, you become the prize. Most men are loud in their praise, desperate for approval. You drop your words like they matter, because they do. And when she starts valuing your words, she starts valuing you. When you master the stoic delivery of a compliment, you trigger something far more powerful than just appreciation. You create emotional imprinting. Emotional imprinting is when a woman remembers how you made her feel, long after the moment has passed. She might not recall your exact words, but she'll remember the energy behind them. So when you say, "You carry yourself with real grace," it's rare. And you say it with calm, grounded presence. It doesn't just flatter her. It makes her feel seen. It makes her feel special. And most importantly, it makes her associate that feeling of significance with you. The difference between a forgettable compliment and an unforgettable one is emotional depth. You're not throwing words around hoping they'll stick. You're observing. You're choosing. You're delivering them with weight. And that weight is what separates you from every other man she's encountered. She starts wondering, who is this guy? Why do his words feel different? Why do I think about him when I'm alone? That's when you've stopped being just another guy and started becoming a presence in her mind. By now, you understand that compliments aren't about impressing her. They're about anchoring emotional connection. And the men who do this best aren't the loudest, the funniest, or the most talkative. They're the ones who understand timing. You don't need to compliment her every time you see her. You don't need to stack praise to win her over. In fact, the more rare and precise your compliments are, the more powerful they become. A Stoic man knows that silence can be just as seductive as speech. He can go an entire evening without saying anything flirty, and then drop one line that stays in her mind for days. You have a presence that makes this room feel calmer. That's it. Simple, honest, undeniably masculine. Because when you deliver a compliment that's not about her looks, but about her essence, she feels it on a deeper level. And that's when attraction shifts from surface level to subconscious desire. So remember, it's not about how many compliments you give. It's about whether she feels different after hearing them. You don't need to flood her with praise. You need to move her. This is what separates the average man from the unforgettable one. Most men speak to impress. A few speak to connect. But the rarest of all, the high-value, emotionally grounded man, speaks to ignite something inside her. And that's what these 5 compliments are really about. They're not tactics. They're not tricks. They're invitations. Subtle, powerful signals that say, I see you. Not just what you show the world, but what's beneath that. When you master the art of complimenting with intention, restraint, and stoic awareness, you don't just make her smile, you make her wonder. You linger in her thoughts. You become the man who made her feel something different, something rare. So don't try to impress her. Don't try to win her over. Just observe. Speak truth. Drop your words like stones into still water, and let the ripple do the work. Because the man who says less, but says it with presence, timing, and weight, is the one she never forgets. If this gave you clarity, subscribe and hit the bell, because what's coming next will take your presence to the next level. Stay grounded, stay rare, stay unforgettable.